Hey, 49er fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, let's get to some more news and rumors regarding the San Francisco 49ers. Still a lot going on, and most of it's still pretty good news. I mean, and knock on wood, right? This has been a week of good news so far in 49er land versus the past couple of weeks, which have been bad. So, let's start with this, though. I want to introduce an idea for a player to make San Francisco better, and that would be Takk McKinley, the former first-round draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you don't know what's happened with Takk McKinley, then, I'll explain. But if you do know what's going on, then you understand that Takk has had some issues this week with the Atlanta Falcons to the point that they released him yesterday. They literally cut their former first-round draft pick and probably one of the best pass rushers they have currently on their roster. And what do you know? San Francisco, we know this, could use some pass rusher help. And so piecing it all together, the Niners could submit a waiver wire claim and, hope that the numbering works out because, the worst teams have the first waiver wire claim and then, the best teams are 32nd. So they're right about in the middle. Or they wait and see if he clears waivers and then they can sign him outright. I think both of those options are things that need to be looked at from a Niner perspective because they could help and he can help San Francisco at least get some more pass rush for the 2020 season. So first off, here's the Falcons statement on Takk. Here's the official word on why they released Takk on Monday. Quote, Atlanta did not pick up McKinley's fifth-year option prior to the season, setting up 2020 to be an important year for the Falcons' 26th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. In part due to the groin injury, this season has been far from the one McKinley needed after he showed up to training camp looking to be in the best shape of his career. So that's what they say goes into the whole cutting of Takk McKinley. But in reality, because I, of course, a lot of people you guys know, I live in Atlanta, I do some work with the Falcons, we know things around here. To the fact that Takk McKinley went on a Twitter tirade a couple of days ago post-trade deadline where he wanted to be traded. Falcons did not, and Takk did this on social media. Literally just threw this right out on a social media page. Quote, the Atlanta Falcons, he added the Falcons, aren't trading me. They have declined a handful of offers. Now, you don't really want one of your first-round draft picks to say anything like that, just, in terms of keep things internal in the National Football League, so that's a little strange for him to do that. And then he doubled down and tweeted this. These Atlanta Falcons turned down a second-round draft pick when I requested to get traded last year. The same Atlanta Falcons turned down a fifth and a sixth-round pick from multiple teams when I requested to get traded this year. I only have 17 and a half career sacks, 3 clown emojis. And what I've heard is that the 3 clown emojis were kind of the nail in the coffin there. You just can't at your boss, right? You sitting at home. Could you tweet your boss or tweet your organization and say something along these lines and keep your job? Odds are you would not be able to. So Takk has some, I'm not going to say character issues, but I think just it's a dumb thing to tweet out. And it just shows that he might have a little bit of an immaturity issue in terms of what's going on with the Falcons. Although you can look from Takk's perspective, he did get released, and that's what he was going for, and so now he can sign with anybody. So maybe he's just, a master chess player and figured out how to get out of Atlanta scot-free. Let me ask you guys this, though. Would you say yay or nay to signing Takk McKinley? Like, based on, the Twitter tirade and obviously still dealing with a groin injury, like, would you want to go ahead and sign Takk? Get into the pinned comment down below, yay or nay for signing him. He has had some issues during his career with injuries, not been healthy basically the entire year, hasn't played past couple weeks in Atlanta, but during some moments, he's had some good bursts and has shown that he can still be a rotational pass rusher in the National Football League. Obviously, 26th overall pick, you expected a lot more out of him. That's why Atlanta, again, was fine with cutting him. But maybe a change of scenery, maybe play alongside some other good defensive linemen like he will in San Francisco could be the right move for the 49ers. Again, will the Niners actually make this move? Do they need to make this move? I think from a necessity standpoint, I would take a good, long, hard look at it. I'd make sure the groin was okay. If the groin's okay, you could rent him for 8 games and just get a little more pass rusher help for less than $1 million. And if he just pops, then you could re-sign him next year and put him alongside Bosa and alongside, potentially replace D Ford with him and overall improve the defensive line. So I'm all for this, honestly. I am 100% good to go on signing him. So I think you should sign Takk McKinley today, get him for cheap, and let him see what he can do with a new team in a fresh place in a new area. Again, I'm all for it. So I'm curious what you guys think, obviously, in the comment section down below. If they were to sign him, then we would obviously cover it. So make sure you guys are subscribed down below because anytime they make a deal, whether it's a trade deal or whether it's a signing or whether they just, promote people from the roster, injury updates, it's all here on the 49ers Report. Make sure you guys are subscribed by clicking the big red subscribe button down below. Let's get to some good injury news here. And again, we haven't had a lot of good injury news for the 49ers over this past couple of weeks today. Good news on Richard Sherman. Sherman has been activated to the 21-day practice window, meaning he is very close to returning on the field for San Francisco. You go back to week 1, he has that calf injury against Arizona and has not played since. He had a setback, and it's just been it's been an issue. I mean, this is a contract year for Sherman. I didn't talk about contract years. This is a big year for Sherman. So activating the 21-day window basically means the Niners have 21 days to officially promote him to the roster or put him on season-ending IR. But, of course, the indications are that he's going to be obviously playing at some point this year. It's unclear if he's going to actually play on Sunday against the Saints. I think there's a very good chance. It's early in the week. Things can change later on in the week. But I think at least by 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, the Niners are going to have a real good shot at getting Sherman back in the secondary, which started off really good without him. I mean, I thought Jason Brett was playing really well. I mean, Mosley had a nice game, and then they've been up and down the entire year, and obviously I think are the worst part of the 49ers' entire team. The defensive backs have struggled mightily in recent weeks, and you can argue that, yes, they played some good quarterbacks, but really, they've just been getting beat and getting beat very handedly against teams that have good receivers like Rodgers and Wilson, and obviously Wilson threw 4 touchdowns, and Rodgers was balling out. They did well against guys like Newton and Goff, but overall, it's been a secondary that has been a little too of a roller coaster for me and my liking. And I think Richard Sherman could provide some stability in that set as they try and make a playoff run here. I mean, this is why you want Sherman back. This is why you look for Mostert to come back, hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo, because even though the Niners are 4-5 and currently 8th in the NFC, with the expanded playoffs this year, they're 1 game out. I mean, literally 1 game out, 7 seed gets you in, and with 8 games left, and to me, a pretty, I'm not going to say winnable next 8 games, but at least an interesting next 8 games. I think right now the 49ers are going to have a real good shot at making a playoff run, and we're going to talk more about this on Thursday during our live Q&A. I normally don't mention the live Q&A during the show, but whenever I can let you guys know that we have a live Q&A, I like to do that, especially on my Twitter account, Thomas Mott. So if you've never seen our live Q&As, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, sometimes 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we go live for about 45 minutes, and you guys can come on and answer your questions and kind of do a little stream there, and that way we can talk 49ers and go back and forth, and we'll have a full playoff preview, playoff picture breakdown, so make sure you click the notification bell as well. That way you're notified whenever we go live. Now, obviously, the next 5 games in terms of quarterbacks they face are a mixed bag. So Breeze and Goff and Allen are all decent quarterbacks. Obviously, Breeze and Josh Allen are the 2 ones you want to worry about. But then you still play Jared Goff, who, like I said, is good sometimes and bad other times. But you get Alex Smith and Garrett Gilbert, who, of course, right now is the Cowboys starting quarterback. It could be Andy Dalton, but who really knows? But when you look at the games, the quarterbacks that they face the next 5 weeks, the sooner Sherman comes back, the better, because the hope is that he could hold down the fort against the Josh Allens of the world and then hopefully dominate against Alex Smith and Garrett Gilbert and Jared Goff, respectively, whenever the Niners are going to go ahead and play them. So we'll see what happens with Sherman. Obviously, again, got to wait, because even though he's activated, doesn't guarantee he's going to be fully 100% good to go. It means he's getting very close, and a lot of people were asking for updates on this the past couple of weeks, and honestly, there were no updates until today, so good news there in terms of the 49ers. Speaking of next week's game and Drew Brees, obviously the Saints, tough matchup right now. I mean, the line right now, minus 10.5, over-under is 50. The Niners are 10.5-point underdogs. I feel good about their chances to cover, though, which might be weird. I think San Francisco is going to be able to, with the Sunday off, with the extended, mini bye week, I think they can have a real shot at beating the Saints, to the point that I got a proposition for you. And our friends at BetUS, I think the 49ers can cover against the Saints, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. We've never done this here on the 49ers Report, but right now, if you sign up with our friends at BetUS, chatsports.com/49bet, put down a $100 deposit, and then bet on the 49ers to cover versus the Saints, and let's say they don't cover, I'll Venmo you what you lost up to $50. So let's just say you put your deposit down of $100 at BetUS, use our promo code Niners125, you get 125% deposit bonus, and then you bet $30 on the Niners to cover the spread, obviously 10.5-point underdogs, and they don't, then we'll Venmo you here. I will Venmo you here at Chat Sports up to $50 to cover your guys' loss. So it's a great proposition if you've been looking to get into sports betting. This is kind of the, you can't lose proposition, because if you lose, we're going to be able to, pay you back up to $50. And if you win, then you win money, and you won't obviously need us to pay you back because you won money. So again, chatsports.com/49bet. Use that promo code Niners125. And if you put a $100 deposit down and bet on the Niners to cover, and they don't, we'll Venmo you up to $50 in terms of what you lost. Okay. Other interesting news today. Stop me if you've heard this. A little bit of deja vu. Kendrick Bourne has COVID. No, not what happened last week where it was a false positive. He's back on the COVID list as of yesterday. So we don't know if he has actually contracted COVID or if it's a contact tracing or what. But we do know that he had 2 straight negative tests after posting the positive test last week, and then the negative test came back to where he was actually negative, and they said, okay, he's good to go. So now we're kind of unclear as to why he's back on the COVID list. Did he just get re-exposed? Is he actually positive? There's a lot of questions happening right now in terms of the Kendrick Bourne situation. It's unclear if it's positive, if it's real, but all we know is this is football in 2020. Like, we're going to find out more in the coming days and weeks if he's actually positive, but it's weird to see him go back on the COVID list after not being on the COVID list because he tested negative twice. Here's Kyle Shanahan a couple of days ago when this whole thing was going down the first time saying, quote, "That's what everyone in the world's got to deal with right now. They're doing that for the safety. Unfortunately, it wasn't necessary, but I get why it would happen, so got to deal with it, and we're obviously dealt with that last night, so hopefully it won't happen going forward." Well, of course, it has happened going forward because, again, Bourne is on the COVID list right now. Now, again, because we filmed this on a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon could come by, San Francisco time, and they could say, oh, he's negative, it's fine. But as of right now, he did have a positive test, and so you go through the whole protocol, which they had last week, which is one of the big reasons why they struggled against the Packers, because a lot of their players were out due to contact tracing with Kendrick Bourne. So, Bourne has been good this year, not great this year. I mean, he's one of the leading receivers on the 49ers team, more so because he's been healthy. But I honestly kind of want to pivot this into saying that we need to see more Richie James Jr. So with Bourne potentially being on the sideline this week, I think it gives a chance for Richie James Jr. to elevate himself again. You remember last week, no Deebo Samuel, no Brandon Ayuk, and Richie James Jr. coming off of the injury earlier on in training camp, had a breakout game. I mean, he rolled out there and had 13 targets, 9 catches, a $184, and 1 touchdown. He was absolutely fantastic against the Green Bay Packers. And it's weird because he's been on the roster this entire time. He's been healthy the past couple of weeks. And for whatever reason, Garoppolo and Nick Mullins have not thrown him the football. And so I'm hoping that we turn the Bourne testing positive into an actual positive for the 49ers, meaning that you get more time to see Richie James Jr. on the football field. Because if he does what he did last week, he is a real threat to go ahead and take a lot of snaps away from a guy like obviously Kendrick Bourne and Trent Taylor. I mentioned that Bourne's been a leading receiver on this football team. He's been the number 2 receiver currently based on yards. I mean, Kittle's number 1, but he's obviously basically done for the year. Ayuk should hopefully be coming back this week. Bourne sitting there at 352. Samuel 185. Obviously did the COVID thing last week. And then Richie James Jr. right there. You see he had 0 catches going into the football game on Thursday night and then popped out of there being the 5th leading receiver on the team. And so my hope is with the Bourne positive, maybe they both come back, but I think that you're going to see a lot more Richie James Jr., at least to just make sure that last week wasn't a fluke and that he just balled out for no reason, or if he's actually going to be, a contributing wide receiver on this football team going forward. I hope that's the case because they could really use him to get a lot more snaps because they've just not really been interested in throwing him the football or even having him out there up until the Green Bay Packer game. Finish with this question. If you guys have been staying this long, ask the question here. Who should get more snaps, Richie James Jr. or Kendrick Bourne? Obviously, both need to be healthy. If Bourne's out, then it will be James this week. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Bourne or James? I'm curious who gets more snaps. There you go, though. All the time we have for today on the 49ers Report. A lot to get into, right? We're going to get the tax stuff. We're going to get into the Sherman stuff. I want to jump in, obviously, on our new Bet US promo where you guys can, essentially not lose any money if you bet on the 49ers to cover because we'll help you guys up to $50. And then taking a look at the Kendrick Bourne and Richie James Jr. situations, and it's going to be interesting. I think the Niners are in an interesting spot, and we'll keep you guys covered and up to date here on the 49ers Report. All time we have for today for Chat Sports. I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.